Hello again. When I was 10, I went to a bring and buy sale, as they used to call them, and I bought this knife. It's a Far Eastern knife, could be Malaysian. When I got it, it had a wooden handle, one of the right angle wooden handles here. Really, you can't do much with it. And not being very knowledgeable, I pulled the handle off, totally wrecked its value by sticking on this antler. I thought it looked really good, but it's actually wrecked the value of the knife. But I was interested by this wavy effect. And you can get Malaysian swords called Kris swords, K-R-I-S, that have this waviness. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be nice to try and make one? So, I had a piece of steel that was 500 millimeters long, 50 centimeters, half a meter, and I drew out a pattern here, got a center line, and then I drew out offsets, trying to make them larger, just really guessing as I went. That would actually give me a nice wavy sword. And it would just be artistic. It's probably not mathematically correct, but it's artistic, looks nice. Now, I wasn't sure what to do about the guard. I only had a 75 millimeter wide piece of steel, and when I looked on the internet, the Kris swords had big off-center guards, so it might come out this far here, but it would come way out on this side, so it would be a big piece of steel out here, little piece out here. And I thought, well, I don't have a piece of steel that wide. And then I thought maybe I could bring it up to here and then make a big wooden guard. And then do I put the tang? I drew the tang here going up inside a wooden handle. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, why don't I just do something different? So I didn't take any photos when I was making it, which is typical. But here is the end result, and it's probably the one that I'm most happy with. This is my end result. Okay, here it is here. It's a bit more artistic. The piece of steel, as you can see, goes all the way through the tang. The tang goes through the handle and then up to here. Now, all the working and shaping on the steel is done with files. No bandsaws, no sanders, belt sanders, files, sandpaper, and a hacksaw to originally cut the rough shapes. So this is possible for anyone to do if you want to put the effort in. So the whole thing, all the shaping, is done by hand. When I'd done all the shaping, I really liked it, and I thought, let's not put a guard on it. Let's actually make the handle go up onto the blade. And I thought, it'd be nice to follow the actual curves of the blade. So I had a piece of Indian satinwood, as you do. And I thought it's a really nice wood. I use some of this for making earplugs, but you only see the end grain. I thought, well, it has a nice side grain, as you can see from here. It's a really nice fine grain. So I cut one side out roughly and cut how I wanted it to go up the blade, and then I used that as a template for the other side, and they're a slight bit thinner on one side, but they're reasonably the same. When I was doing the shaping for the blade, I probably could have brought the filing a bit further down there. I think it's okay there, it's gone in a bit. These are things I'm learning as I go along. And then you can see going around the back of the tang and up this side, a few file marks there, but there you go. I actually glued this on, epoxied it on. I'd already pre-drilled some holes in the tang, and I put in some of the good old B&Q brass rods. I was a bit more careful with this one, that when I was hammering them in, I put it on another piece of wood and hammered it so I wouldn't split any bits out and make a mess of it. I then sanded it all. But when I was sanding this shape, I actually used this on my drill to sand it, which if you actually look, some of the curves are the radius, or the actual radius of this sander, which came in really handy. So it gave me all the nice curves and took out some of the hard work on the wood, and allowed me, I finished it with some furniture polish, but it's probably come out one of the nicest things I've made, and I was really surprised. I spent a lot of time sanding with lots of grits up to 7,000 on the blade to have it come out like that. One thing I did notice, if you look really carefully, on here, this is the original flat surface of the steel, the ground flat stock steel, and you can see it has tiny little scratches in it, obviously from the manufacturing process. But on the sides, where I've done all my filing, you don't see those scratches. So it does stand out, and maybe if I only saw this at the end when I'd finished it, which is a bit of a pain. I probably should have filed all this surface as well. I'll know that for the future. Don't use the actual surface that they give you on the steel. Actually, you need to file that and sand it. Well, not just sand it, file it as well, to get rid of those manufacturing marks. But in a way, it makes the edge stand out a bit more, because the edge is much of a cleaner edge, and then you see this different texture on the blade. When I epoxied, I put the tiniest little bit in here so that it wouldn't splurge out. But it just shows you that you can do it. Piece of steel, some files, hacksaw and some sandpaper, you can make a really nice shape. Put the effort in. I could have just used sandpaper and hand tools on the handle, but seeing as I had the sander, I thought, why not get some nice shapes? And it's turned out really well. I'm just trying to think of how to make a hanger for it for the wall, so that you can actually see. It's really lovely. So I'm really pleased with that. You need to go and have a go at making something yourself. Thanks very much, and thanks for watching.